Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
My bite's not close to my bark, buddy. And slid down so we can see a red suitcase right here for law enforcement. If they're watching and you guys would like to come back here. Of her being out here. So this is what we're doing today. We will see you guys back here real soon.
I have a question for you. If you woke up this Friday morning and you looked in your bank account and there was $10,080 magically there, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. But the only stipulation is you have to spend it all in 1 week and it'll be gone. And then the following week, you'll get another $10,080 deposited, and so on and so on. You can spend it however you want. Or if you don't spend it, it disappears. Would you spend every cent every week, or would you allow it to be wasted and taken away from you? Well, guys, this Friday, you're going to wake up and there's going to be 10,080 minutes that God has given you for the next week. And you can spend them however you want, or you can simply waste them. Guys, I highly suggest that you spend every minute of next week doing amazing things, and don't allow 1 minute to be squandered, because you never know when God won't deposit another 10,080 minutes in your life, guys. Go out and live a great life.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Day, my beautiful people on YouTube and Twitter. We've been running live on Twitter for some time, and we're going to continue to do so. I hope everybody out there is having a wonderful morning so far. I can't even imagine. Many of you guys were probably out way too late, probably checking all the candy that your kids brought home, or grandkids, right? Or grandkids. I was on the phone with Mama Bullhorn, and we were chit-chatting. And then, ding dong, she got her first trick-or-treater. Since I've moved over in this house for a decade, I haven't seen a kid. My other house, it was a requirement to run out of candy at least 2 or 3 times. And Walmart was literally right around the corner. You could walk to Walmart if you had to. But I have to tell you, at my old community, you know, whenever we had trick-or-treaters, we would buy pounds. I'm talking pounds of candy. You needed huge bowls for our old neighborhood. Here, I bought candy, and I'm going to end up eating the candy. I know, I really did do that because I knew I would be left with all the candy. I won't lie. It's my excuse. But, you know, you have to prepare. You have to prepare for anything, right? Even those goblins and trick-or-treaters. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful recovery this hump day. Good morning, Unicorn Guidance, The Real Me Too, Joy Seeker, Oh Lady O, Rusty Kettle Ranch, nice to see you. Turtle Madness is in the house. Van Lady, Mama Shellbell, nice to see you, love. Nice to see you. Teresa, good morning. Shannon, Connie, good morning. Nael, Mama Llama is in the house. Cindy, it's nice to see you here. We have Jules. Good morning, Jules. I see you. Well, I see you. How's that little grandbaby doing? Huh? She has her first. She's a grandma. We can officially call ICU Granny. I know you can't tell me anything. There's no secrets over here in Casa Bullhorn. Oh, I am Team Summer. Oh, thank you, love. Thank you for everything. I just want a big shout out to I am Team Summer. Let's see, who else do we have up in the house? Gigi for life. Good morning. Good morning. Anybody else that's in the house that I have not had an opportunity to say hi to? This is just a big old, we got a tutti frutti on the Rudy, tutti frutti on the Rudy. Ow! Having a great time this hump day. It's me, Jen. And she's saying, give me a thumb up. It's free to be kind today, right? It's free to be kind. All right, so we're not gonna spend too much time on this. We literally have so much to go over today. Lots of updates on cases. I was able to throw a few faces on the thumbnail. There are a couple things that I do want to talk to you before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of our morning. One of the things is Jennifer Santinello. You guys know Jennifer Santinello is the mother of a missing girl out in Kingsport, Tennessee. She was 20 when she went missing. There's a lot of weird phenomenons with her case, period. There just are, okay? There's nothing we can do about that. We know that this is a serious case. We knew this was a serious case on tour one and in the community. We knew it was a serious case to even get us out there. But we've definitely found, a lot more information the second trip. And now, since then, we've heard of a few more young ladies missing in the Kingsport, Tennessee area. As you know, this makes me have heartburn because we had Wandering Orphan on here. We heard some pretty bad stuff, guys. I'm not going to go into it. It's not my place. And there is an active investigation ongoing, and the integrity of that investigation has to be our utmost priority. So we did hear some not so good things out there, but Wandering Orphan, the bottom line is we don't know. Okay. We don't know what happened to Layla. So far, we have assumptions and theories based on factual information and witness testimony, but that doesn't necessarily, we don't have her. We don't know where she's at. So there is that possibility that something else is going on, something on the lines of ST, HT type of situation. We know that it is a possibility in the case with Layla Santinello. It has always been a smaller possibility because of the information that we have. But there's still the option out there that it is possible, right? So we never want, if it's possible, it's possible. It hasn't been removed from the realm of possibilities that she could be out there in a situation where she's alive, but she is, having to do certain things because of certain things. So we're not oblivious to that fact. But now we have two more young ladies, young adults that have also gone missing. And there may be more. These are the ones that we know about. So we were looking into it. I've been doing a lot of searches, and surrounding. I went through to our government website and did searches for unclaimed and unidentified persons. And I didn't just check. I was just going to check around the states that kind of border Tennessee, but I wanted to check everything all across the United States. Any unidentified person that is in this government database, I have checked, and nothing it resembles or anything with Layla, okay, or this other girl that I'm about to talk about. This is the first time that we actually have somebody that could potentially be running in the circle with Layla Santinello that is now officially missing. That is correct. There is another girl that is out here that is officially missing. She's a missing person, and she ran in the same circles as Layla Santinello. And this is really sparking a lot of personal issues with me, because I'm thinking of this, what could possibly be going on here? What could this just be? We got to do victimology, right? and look at the actual victim, like Layla. She did live a higher risk lifestyle than say her mom, right? And running in the same circle typically means that this other girl is probably in a different type of lifestyle and stuff like that. We've been side-eyeing Northeast Tennessee since Summer disappeared. Oh, if you weren't here, when we were out there looking for Layla, when we were out there looking for, I got to do opposite. It's funny because I'm mirroring. But when we were out there looking for Layla, one of the searchers, because we go into communities that we are not familiar with, sometimes the best information we can get is from locals guiding us, telling us where, problematic areas are and things that they can do to kind of direct us. And unfortunately, in a situation like Layla Santinello, we're out there, we're asking these people, based upon the information, is there a possibility of a place where people kind of dump things, and we look at that avenue. And when this other girl comes up, there's a few things that come to mind with this situation. The other girl's name is Holly Lynn. Holland, I think it's what it is. Holly, it looks like Holland Snap, 19. I don't know if Layla or Holland Snap, I think is how you pronounce the name, Holland Snap. But either way, they ran in the same circles, and this could be one of the things where it's just the high risk lifestyle, and maybe, she kind of went too far. There is that possibility, and they just got rid of her. There's the possibility that she may have known more than she should have if they ran in the same circles, because we know that whatever we're hearing in the background, it wasn't like multiple people don't know what's going on. According to the information, people know things. We'll leave it at that. People know things. So I'm very concerned about the fact that we have two young girls in the same exact circle, both of them missing within months apart. There could be an ST factor here. There could be a disappearing witness factor here. There could be a number of things. And trust me, they are all coming to my brain in rapid succession, saying something is not right here. There's something seriously wrong. So I'm probably going to take another tour back to Tennessee here in the next week or so. Next week, I don't want to go over what we're going to be doing, but we're going to be on the road in the middle of the week, covering several different cases throughout Florida. So we will be on a road trip, folks, and we will be going live from the road next week. I've already got that planned, and I've already got my itinerary done. But it's going to have to be the week after that. I think we're going to make, at least me, I'm not sure if Olivia is going to be able to go with me on this trip or not. But if she can, then we will both be there. But we're going to be looking at these cases. And this is kind of where we're not, I'll be letting law enforcement know that I'm coming in, as I always do. But we're going to now be doing more of an investigative reporting on this case, whereby we've already established the majority of the timeline, but it's going to be actually gapping that timeline. We have a lot of gaps in that timeline with Layla, and it's time to start asking some people some questions. Obviously we don't have there is no crime scene. We haven't found or located a crime scene. We don't know the depth or the scope of the evidence that has already been collected by law enforcement. So there's a lot of things that we have to consider. And this is going to be more of a, we were out there searching. This is going to be more of a fact-finding and information gathering mission that we're going to be going out in an effort to properly discuss this case, in a journalistic aspect. So, we're going to have to basically build the known facts. We're going to have to be, looking and trying to find people that may be able to be witnesses for law enforcement. Obviously, law enforcement leads are drying up. So it's now time for us to start pushing forward, right? It's time for us to start pushing forward and start finding out ways to help this family, something a little more involved, knocking doors, maybe shoe leather work, right? I know law enforcement is out there doing it, but and they've got their investigation. That's what they have to do. But this family needs help, and now we have a second family that equally needs help in the same exact area. And this is the second girl. Okay, there was another girl that went missing with shorter, darker hair. So I don't know if that's this one or if this is a new one, but right now, if I'm not mistaken, there's like three young girls that are missing within a matter of a few months of each other. So we need to figure out what's going on there and get the kibosh on that. I'm sure you guys know. Let me make sure that this is not it. And I'm sorry about the intro. Something happened whenever I was in the intro, and my computer's been acting up. That was the problem yesterday with my scary stuff. I literally had so much more videos for you, but and they were actually, some of them were funny, some of them were cute, some of them were, and it was all Halloween themed crimes. And whatever happened, my computer, I just did an update on my computer, but whatever it did, it stalls my, if I'm not using tabs on my computer, it stalls them. This is something that's never happened before, but they just don't work. And you got to refresh them, and then you got to go find where you were. It just became a nightmare. That's kind of why I just said, we're going to get off, because things were just not working for me. So when I was in my intro this morning, I was making sure the tabs were all open and didn't throttle. And when I did that, it went to a YouTube page and it started playing in my ear. And then I could no longer hear the intro. So I had to kill the intro and move on to the next one because it would not come back. And I don't know why, but it just didn't. Polk County Sheriff. I want you guys to hear this story because this is pretty phenomenal. It's a very long press conference. I'm not going to, we're not going to be spending too much time on the press conference other than the fact that I want you to hear some key information. And it's going to be just the sheriff. It's before our Attorney General Moody gets on. But this, I got to tell you, really disturbs me. It really disturbs me because you know how I feel when people commit crimes. You got to have people, and I'm not talking about, these are serious crimes. This is like 10 keys of some of the best they said that they've ever seen. And it was all I'll let you guys watch it, but it was all fronted to them. So let me get this up here. Okay, I think this is where it's good. Just a few minutes we're going to take. And when he moves over to Ashley Moody, we're going to kill the live. And but I want you to hear this because I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
Fentanyl, and we tricked them with an arrest. And we're here to give you Juan Manuel Gutierrez Medina Sr. He's 56 years of age. Juan Manuel Gutierrez Jr. Medina Jr. He's 25 years of age. And Roberto Roca, who's 55 years of age. Let me explain what happened. We went undercover. Our detectives are simply the very best. And we met with Roberto Roca in Bartow. He showed up on time. Did you hear that? I mean, for those of you that are watching this that understand undercover drug investigations, no drug dealer shows up on time. I mean, it's just genetically inclined. So this guy shows up as he's supposed to. We can't determine his alien status, but he delivered to us 1 kilo of cocaine, and that was on September the 14th in Bartow. Then on September 16th, we got this kilo from Manuel. Then Roberto showed up on September the 16th with 3 more kilos. So now we've got 4 kilos of fentanyl. And this fentanyl is mixed with methamphetamine. It's stamped into pills. This is really pure meth. So the investigation's underway. We met with Roberto again on October the 5th and made a partial payment. They were fronting this dope to us and had never met us before.
Can you
hear
imagine that?
That's how fluid and how much of this dope is around. And for those that are familiar with the dope world, normally you don't float kilos of fentanyl, meth, cocaine with someone you just started doing business with.
I want to let you know, like, how this is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And not only that, I think the more important thing is exactly what Brady Judd is saying, that this is so free flowing in our country. This is so free flowing in our country. Polk County Sheriff just had his detectives just meet these people, just start doing business with them. They were fronted 10 kilos of a whole bunch of narcotics and other substances. And listen to this, and you're going to hear it. They showed up to the deal on time. It was the most insane thing I have ever heard, and I'm telling you, the only reason why I'm playing this for you is because you have to hear this story, because you are not going to believe just how easy this stuff is flowing over. Like right now, we have a mother. Her name's Jennifer Santinello right now, trying to find her daughter because her daughter got mixed up into the crap that this group here is peddling across our country for free. Not for free, but on a front. On a front. They don't even care anymore. They got the cartels in our area. They got the cartels across this country. They don't care. Why can they front this to us? Because they know if you don't pay, the cartel's on its way. That's why. They have no fear. None. And they're on our shores. This is a problem for me. It should be a problem for each and every one of you.
But they did. During this time, we're having conversations and we figure out this is Sinaloa cartel dope. And it came from Sinaloa to Compton, and then it came to Polk County straight out of Compton. So as the investigation went on, Juan Sr. left to go to Compton to pick up some more drugs. Now we followed him around in Compton, and he went from there north towards San Francisco, and he came back. In the meantime, we have a warrant for his arrest, a first-degree felony, 25-year minimum mandatory, 30-year sentence. So we worked with the sheriff's office in Los Angeles County.
Oh, you guys are not going to believe
said,
this.
Hey,
listen.
His phone's pinging in this house.
Phone
We've got
pinging.
surveillance. Our guys were there surveilling. We also had Homeland Security there with us. They wouldn't knock on the door. Did you hear me?
What?
The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department would not knock on the door. They said, hey, we're glad to help you if we find him on the streets. If we catch him driving, give us a call. We'll be all over it. We don't knock on doors. I don't understand what that's all about, but I can understand that if that is their standard policy, we now have another example of why the felons own California. The dope smugglers own California.
I have been telling you guys for a really long time, and if this doesn't prove it, I don't know what does, that our government here in the United States of America, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, and they can be ostriches all they want, but our top brass here in this government is in bed with these cartels. In bed with them. Because there is no excuse for this. We are America. We are the United States of America. Period. We are the absolute best of the best in this world, and I truly do believe that. And if you can have this much drugs coming over any border, shame on you. Because at the end of the day, this is flooding into where? Where does it always start? This is the second operation that Grady has done following and tracking our traffickers. Do you know that the first case he did, they just shipped it right in on the planes, our American Airlines, and got it through security, out of the airport, and onto the streets of America, California. Right? And I just find it awfully funny. Here's the second sting we've done. And it's going, we got the arrows going back to California. Right out of Compton, baby. Right out of Compton. And you got LA law enforcement officers that are too chicken shit and too scared. And it's not their fault. I want to be very clear. It's not their fault. They have crap. For a governor? Sorry, Newsom. The lack of law and order? LA Police Department is an embarrassment. And I want to make sure I'm very clear on that. So all the haters out there that want to make videos about me, now would be a great time to do it. Because to wear once upon a time, to have that LAPD badge right there was a freaking honor. It was an honor to be a part of that elite outfit. It's a disgrace now. It's an embarrassment now. You know how we go out to these things and you got mainstream media and like, oh my God, social media's people are here. Right? That's how I feel about LAPD. Absolutely worthless. And I feel bad for each and every officer out there because their life is truly in jeopardy because of the leadership that they have. And I can kind of understand why they can't knock on doors because their brass, their embarrassment, their tarnished brass, their tarnished top brass doesn't know how to do law enforcement anymore. Doesn't know how to do this thing called law enforcement anymore. Apparently, law enforcement for California is calling up the cartel and saying, hey, how can I assist you today? The California way, right? The California way. So I'm pretty disgusted about this whole situation. I have to be honest with you. And what pisses me off even more is that this crap is coming to Florida. And I've got to say, this is not welcome here. This is not welcome here. And thank God these people are off the streets. But you know what the worst part about it is? All three of these guys were pawns for that cartel. That cartel doesn't give a crap about these three men. That cartel does not care if these three men live or die. Those cartel members right there that were just arrested by Brady, they've already got 6 more coming over here to take over their positions. And that is absolutely correct. None of these people should have been in this country, let alone in the state of Florida. And if you don't think these cartels already have another person to stand in their place, you are wrong. So I guess the question would be, when's enough enough? When have we, the citizens, the bosses of this country? I just want to make sure that you guys know how powerful each and every one of you are, because you are very powerful, because you are the boss of this country. You have a voice and you have a way to get this stuff stopped. We have to fight all the time, our government. I mean, that's why we're doing this stuff, is to make sure that, you know, these criminals go to jail, that we don't have another Leilani Simon situation where a woman can brutalize her son and get to sleep in her bed on double probation and can't pass a urinalysis. That I have a problem with. So we do have to, you know, bring this stuff up and shine a light on it, because you are a powerful person and you and your community could do amazing things. And you can be writing your governor, your sheriff, and anybody else telling them, this is not what we signed up for. We will not allow this to exist. And we're sick and tired of our government allowing these monsters and animals to prey on our children. We could do that. I know I'm doing it. Are you? If not, might be a great time to start. Might be a great time to start. So we have a lot of remains that we're going to go over right now. Okay, so I'm going to start with Gilgo, and then we're going to go over to, you guys know I went up to see Madalina Cojocari's case. I personally viewed the house. I was the first and only, I think maybe another creator might have went behind me to cover the case, but I was the first and only content creator that put my foot on the grounds in Cornelius, North Carolina, to find answers about Madalina Cojocari, and we're going to get to her in just a second because we do have an update on her as well. So there's been a lot of activity on a lot of social media platforms today about Rex Heuermann. They found another body on a different side of Gilgo Beach. So according to Alec, there's breaking news. They found male human remains in Sunken Meadow State Park, which is in Suffolk, Long Island. And this is on the opposite end of the island from Gilgo Beach. It's about 25 miles from where the accused Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann lives. This is the issue with this particular situation. I told you, I believe personally, and I believe wholeheartedly, and I know that maybe some of you guys might be believing and maybe some of you guys don't, but I truly believe during this era, there was multiple serial killers working among each other. I don't think they worked together. I don't even think they conversated, but I think they smelt each other's presence in their dumping grounds, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? I definitely believe that the person that dismembered some of the victims is a different person than Rex Heuermann, which was known for posing or staging the victim and then covered them with the burlap. It was like we thought it was burlap sack, but when the arrest was made with Rex Heuermann, it started to be more clarified, and it sounds like he used this burlap sack as a. I don't think they were wrapped in it. They might have been wrapped in it. I know that there was some, but they said something. There was an article I read that said he used it to obscure or to hide them. So I think he used it to blend everybody into their surroundings, almost like camouflage, if you will. That's kind of how I feel. So I just feel like his MO in the disposal process is so wildly different than the ones that happened in the 90s, the late 90s. So this is a male human remains. I'm curious because we know we have one Asian male that wound up on that beach buried. And we learned Michael Pack, I don't believe the Asian male is Michael Pack, but we learned that Michael Pack was basically Shannon Gilbert's pimp and business partner. He had the Facebook page. He set up the appointments. She was called in. He drove her to her appointments. He was her pimp. So my question is, with that other guy being on the beach, the Asian male, I kind of believe he met with foul play by way of him being the driver. I believe that whoever he drove, I almost believe because of where his body was that he's either associated with one of the Gilgo girls or one of the two dismembered girls. The reason they're wrapped bodies is to conceal them. Yeah. But the way it was, the way it was described is early on, like when I was reading about this in 2011, if I recall correctly. I almost forgot all about the burlap when he got arrested. Like we were live and somebody came in here like, oh my gosh, this killer has been arrested, and I'm like, Gilgo, and then things started coming back in my brain about the thing. And one thing I forgot about was the burlap sack, and somebody in the audience reminded me about the burlap. So I had forgotten all about that. And yeah, it was to wrap the bodies to conceal them. But the way that one of the articles described that it was almost a screen. So he may have wrapped them up in the burlap, but it sounds like he may even have had burlap screen on top of the area as well to kind of, it was just this one, but I know when I read the article, I'm like, huh. And then somebody else, it was I think it was the commissioner, he even explained it in one of the conferences where they said, this is we're looking for a very unique burlap. And they said it was used to screen and conceal. I'll have to find, because there was only a few press conferences, I'll have to find that clip, but I'm pretty sure the commissioner even had said that. But that's what caused me confusion. Did he use it to wrap them in, or did he use it as a screen to block their presence on the beach, or a combination of both? I don't know. I really don't. Guys, this is another story. We're going to move back over to Gilgo Beach in just a second, but I wanted you guys to see this because I really do think that my moms and dads that are in my audience really need to see this. When you have an underage child, this is my suggestion. Take it for what you will. I know our children, they're adults. They want their independence. I personally think it is irresponsible for any parent. Granted, sometimes you can't help it. This is the car that you can afford. It's the right price and stuff like that. But giving your child a Hellcat, a fast moving car as their first car, I think is a recipe for disaster. Statistics show us that our children, when they first get their license, are going to be in an automobile accident within their first year and most likely within their first 2 years of driving on our roads. It's statistics. We know there's a reason why. There's a reason why insurance is so high for our young children, because it's funny how when parents aren't looking, what children may do behind their parents' backs, right? To look cool for their friends, because at that stage, that age, our friends are our life. They're everything to us. So we always want to have the best of the best. We always want to be the coolest of the cool. We all, and of course our parents want to see, we're their pride and joy, right? So our parents always want to give us the best because it's almost showing them as being good parents as well. Sometimes being parents, and many of you guys know, is saying no. Absolutely not. And this is why I want you guys to pay attention to this. I don't want to scare you, but you have to remember our children do stupid shit. Excuse my language, but I don't know any other word to use than that word when trying to describe what our children will do behind our backs. And we have to protect ourselves because we're financially responsible for our children. So we have to find ways to protect ourselves and guard us from major issues. This family is not that lucky.
With your 17 court watch on this Halloween, the teen driver accused of driving impaired and at high speeds in a deadly April crash will remain out of jail for medical treatment for at least 6 more weeks. 18-year-old Kareem Riyadh has been out of custody since early September to receive physical therapy for injuries he suffered during the crash that killed 66-year-old Gayla Sue Price. A passenger in Riyadh's car told police Riyadh's Dodge Charger Hellcat hit speeds of 120 miles per hour that night and claimed that Riyadh swerved into opposite lanes and hit Price's car.
So again, these are kids probably just out having a good time. They're thinking that they're doing innocent stuff, but 120 miles an hour. And you know what? He's 18 right now. I can almost guarantee he had that Hellcat before the age of 18. Maybe he got it on his 18th birthday. I don't know. All I know is our children, it's part of life's lessons. Kids push the envelope. It's part of learning. It's part of growth. These are things that we know they're going to do. So we have to try to mitigate some of the crap they're going to do to themselves. And so, I just think I feel bad for him, his friends, the person that lost his life. I'm sure that this kid was just out having a good time, not wanting to injure anyone, not wanting to hurt anyone, but because of his, need for speed. Now, had he had a Toyota Corolla, on the other hand, I'm not sure a Toyota Corolla can get up to 120 speeds, but I don't know. I've never tried. Right? But a Hellcat, when you get in a Hellcat, you expect some speed. I do. If I get in a Hellcat, baby, show me what it's got. But see, that's the mentality we don't need our young children having at this moment. So there's that, it's just a car thing. But, I said that I'm pretty sure another one of my friends had recently purchased a vehicle for her child. And her child, it was a fast car. And honestly, I had the same conversation because we have to remember, this kid is lucky. His family is lucky. They have him alive. This situation could have been much more different and could look a lot more different. And it might not have just been one person's loss of life. All Saints Day Pebbles. Well, happy Saints Day. Happy Saints Day. And in time for the holidays, many of you know we love our wonderful mod, Sonia. She's doing a lot of great, clever ideas to help you for Christmas. So if you have something that you want done, a custom item, if you just want to buy some toilet paper saying you're stinky up in here, right? She's got all the gag gifts you need. Consider reaching out to Sonia and help her. She's been such a support for this community. She's been such a support for this channel. And guys, she really does do a lot that many people don't know about. Heck, I didn't even know she did half the stuff that she does. I was pleasantly surprised, especially with the whole Layla Santinello case. I had no idea. It was Sonia that sent out some shirts. It was Sonia that made those key rings. It was Sonia that made beautiful flyers on great stock paper for this family to get out there and get posted. Sonia did that. She didn't brag about it. I didn't even know. I had no clue. I show up for a search and she has all this stuff to give to Jen. And those are the types of people that we love and we always, always, always want to support. If you're doing good in this world, we want to support that small business. And so if you guys have not bought at least something from Sonia, please consider doing so for the holidays. We've got 2 months left before Christmas, folks. So get those orders in. Get those orders in. And here's her Facebook as well. Thank you guys for all your love and support. Now, we're going to move just a little bit over to Madalina Cojocari. Madalina Cojocari disappeared. I believe I'm going off the top of my head, so don't hold me to the fire with all of the dates. I'm trying to see if I can see right off the cursory review. I have it on her file, and I don't have her file in front of me. So I believe it was November 21st. And I believe it was the 23rd she disappeared. So she went to school. She was at her school and she was on a bus to get off the school bus to her community and walk to her school. That was on November 21st. By November 23rd, now we didn't find this out until, weeks later, that it appears that she disappeared on November 23rd, that she was there and then she wasn't. And mom and dad didn't report her missing. We know that that's hinky. That's hinky in and of it by itself. I spoke to somebody at her school, at her middle school. This is a person that probably shouldn't have been talking to me, but chose to, and I appreciate it. And as promised, I never recorded it nor indicated who that person was. But what I was told while I was there, and I was there on a Sunday, so I wasn't even expecting anybody to be at the school. And this person was very well aware of this case, that it's been, all the adults are talking about the case. And what they knew is that this wasn't one thing where they just went to the house one time. Apparently, they had realized that Madalina wasn't at school, so they had reached out by phone to her mother. Nobody was calling back. They had sent emails. Nobody was responding back. So they finally sent somebody over to knock on the door at the house. The issue is her mother very rarely leaves that home. She literally stays in that home 24/7. If she goes out, it's usually with her husband or to run errands that he tells her to run. Madalina Cojocari was not even allowed to walk around she lived in a nice community. It was a community that I felt absolutely 100% safe walking around in completely by myself. And I learned when I was at that community that nobody ever went to her house to trick or treat, or very few people did. Everybody knew that was the house not to go to. The other thing is a lot of the people in that area thought it was awfully funny because they never saw her out walking around or playing outside without her stepfather right next to her at all times. That, for an 11-year-old child, to me seems a little overbearing. It seems like there's more stuff going on behind the scenes. But we heard that the mother may have done something to her. I'm conflicted with this story because I think both of them did. I think it's awfully funny and suspect to me that as soon after she disappears, the father, Palmater, whatever his name is, the Palmater guy, he takes off and goes to the mountains in Michigan. And I have a funny feeling he was disposing of evidence. I really do believe he was I personally thought he was disposing of her. But it looks like it might be possible because the national forest that Madalina Cojocari's mother pinged at now has human remains found. This just happened on the 30th that we started getting notified of this. Obviously, that the remains were actually found on October 29th. We have not received any notification whether or not these are Madalina Cojocari's remains. We have not heard whether they're male or female. We have not heard whether they're adolescent or adult. We only know that there was a ping in this area from her mother, and now we have human remains. So it's a small little statement here. I'm just going to read it for everybody to know and understand. The FBI recovers human remains from Pisgah. How do you pronounce that? Pisgah National Forest? I can't pronounce these names. These weird names are just too much for me. My hooked on phonics is failing. The FBI and Madison County Sheriff's Office recovered human remains from a remote wooded area off Stackhouse Road in Marshall, North Carolina, in the Pisgah National Forest. I'm sure I'm butchering that up. Hunters made the discovery they made the discovery actually on October 28th. Sorry about that. October 28th, they notified Madison County Sheriff's Office, who contacted the FBI. Agents and deputies hiked to the remote area and secured the scene. The FBI is leading the investigation as the agency has jurisdiction on federally owned land. The FBI's evidence response team meticulously processed the area to preserve the remains and uncover all available evidence. The remains will be sent to the FBI laboratory in Quantico, Virginia. It's too early in the investigation to know the identity of the person or the cause of their death. No additional information will be released until positive identification is made. Now, there is no guarantee that this has anything to do with Madalina Cojocari. We know for a fact, just from yesterday, we played Jen Santinello's TikTok where she was hopeful that there were remains of another person, but it killed her because it was a man that had been missing for 8 years. And so even though it sounds like it could be, it may not be. We also learned there was another uncovering of human remains. Let me show you this. This is where it kind of all began. So this just explains the story behind the hunters. So we know that the hunters were in the National Forest and made a grisly discovery. Made a grisly discovery. The agents, deputies hiked to discover. Okay, here's this. I want you guys to watch this. And we're going to have an advertisement, but.
New this half hour, an update on the case of that missing 11-year-old girl in the Charlotte area.
Today, the parents of Madalina Cojocari are expected to face a judge and a bond hearing. Madalina was last seen on surveillance video getting off of her school bus.
That was her. That's the last time she's been seen. And I was right. November 21st, 2022. So sad. So sad. And she had no life, guys. Like the only time she had human contact other than her parents was when she was at school. She was so isolated, but when she got home, and that's a tale. And to me, that shows me that's a sign of abuse. To isolate.
But the girl wasn't reported missing until December 15th. Madalina's mother and stepfather have been charged with failing to report the disappearance of a child to law enforcement.
Okay. So it was just saying Madalina was last seen. Diana was arrested along with Chris Palmiter. That's his name, Chris. Diana and Chris. And I've learned that Chris Palmiter is now a free man. Not free, but he's been bonded out. He's back at the house in North Carolina in Cornelius, the place that I actually went and recorded in front of his house. And I have to say, from the outside, his house was the more rundown house of the community. You could clearly see it. It was the one sore thumb. It was still a good looking home. It was just not as maintained or as aesthetically appealing as the rest of the homes. It was the lesser than home in the community. We all have them. We all know that. So I hear he's back at home, and I almost want to go there and knock on his door and see if he'll be willing to give me an interview, which I know he probably won't because he's under criminal investigation, and his attorney will probably tell him not to talk, but you still have to ask. And the wife, from my understanding, Diana, she's still in jail. So is this possible where Chris left the home and mom just went completely berserk on the daughter? I don't know. All I know is something bad happened in that house, and it sounds like Christopher Palmiter is a very controlling man, so much so that his stepdaughter, now this is not even his biological daughter, his stepdaughter can't even walk around her community or ride her bike without her father, or her stepfather right next to her. That's just odd for me at 11 years old. Staying, being outside while your children are playing, I get all that. This day and age, you can't be safe enough. I get all that. But you can't even walk around your own community without your father being right next to you or your stepfather being right next to you. That's too controlling for me. Those are red flags for me. That goes beyond hover parent, in my opinion, because I don't even know any of you that are willing to do that. And I know that I've got some mama bears in here that hover. What else do we have? I'm going to touch on this just for a little bit. Oh yeah, we got that one. Give me just a second. Okay, we got that. Did you guys want to finish the rest of the Grady Judd video? I was going to play it for you a lot longer than that, but I didn't know if you guys wanted to see it if you had already seen it. If not, then I'm just going to go. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and clear that. We already know about the massacre. So one other thing I'm going to hit on before I get moving on to David Rainey's case is, and we haven't really touched on this too much, but I felt like maybe my thoughts on it might help. But it's this whole thing with Richard Allen and the Delphi case, and the fact that his attorneys were basically removed from the case. Judges have a lot of discretion. In my opinion, judges have a lot of discretion. And this was an extraordinary situation where one of his defense attorneys, whether or not he did everything in his possible power to make sure that nothing happened to the case, it was under his watch in his office that allowed key evidence in a case to be blasted. What word am I looking for? To be leaked. And at the end of the day, that is a major no-no. As an attorney, you are required to maintain a lot of stuff, including an escrow account, making sure, you can't touch that escrow account. You can't, commingle funds. You can't say, oh, my bank account doesn't have the money to pay the light bill. Let me go to the escrow account and pay the light bill out of that. I'll reimburse it. You can't even do that. That's illegal and unlawful, and you can lose your license for that. So you're responsible, and that's just the financial part of it. But attorneys are legally responsible to handle their business and to protect their evidence and to protect their files from anybody and everybody. And apparently some guy, whether or not it was meant to be, he accidentally left his office unlocked, or the guy creatively broke into the office. I wasn't there. I don't know. Even everybody out there talking about it couldn't possibly know, even with the information, because nobody was there. Nobody really knows how this guy got the paperwork to leak it. Either way, it was leaked, and it came from an attorney's office. And it really doesn't matter whether that attorney has due process or not, whether he was in the wrong or not. The bottom line is evidence was leaked under his watch from his office. However that happened, it is, in my opinion, that there is enough discretion that a judge possesses that he can say that's unacceptable with or without due process. That attorney will have due process when he's before the commission to talk about his license. He will have due process at that moment. But when you jeopardize a case, I think a judge has the authority to remove you from that case. And I do believe that the authority to do so was provided when that evidence was leaked. So I understand that Richard Allen's attorneys are fighting this. Now, I don't know how this is going to go. I will honestly say that I honestly believe that these attorneys will not be on this case for Richard Allen after seeing this, because I've never experienced, I've worked in law offices. I mean, granted, I haven't worked in law offices more than I have worked in them at this point, right? It's been 13 years since I've been in a law office, and I've worked over a decade in a law office. But now, me being out of the law office absolutely trumps. And I've never, in the whole time, a decade of my service in a very, very, very high-strung and a very voluminous law office, I've never had a situation like this. I've never experienced a situation like this. Oh my gosh, 17 months. Jen. Actually, I shouldn't even call you that. That's a bad name in this day and age. It's me, Jen, right? 17 months. God bless you. Thank you for your love and support. Wow, you were loving and supporting me long before I even knew you were loving and supporting me. It's hard to believe that we can have members here that are 17 months old. It's hard to believe. So I was reading this, and one of the mods sent this over to me, the motion to reconsider, and I'm sorry. I think this attorney's done. I think this attorney has put himself, I think whoever broke into his office, if it was his friend, it wasn't a very good friend, because this is the kind of stuff that can get attorneys suspended. This is a big problem. Huge. So how do I feel about it? I really don't know how I feel about it, because I'm just giving a legal perspective of this, that, just based upon my feelings and what I know. And I do believe that the judge has the discretion to pull an attorney, especially with something this egregious. I absolutely do. And this is one of those things. So I think that this attorney, he did himself in, and I don't think no matter what he does, he's going to have to fight. And quite frankly, we should pray for that attorney, especially if he didn't have his hand in this, because he's going to have some major legal consequences that come because of all of this, really. Now, moving on to one more before we get over to our baby. The Idaho Four. The Idaho Four. We have 144 people in our chat right now. And I want you guys to all put clappy hands in our chat. Clappy hands, right? Because we were fighting the system. We fought the system, and we won. We prevailed. They wanted to demolish the 1122 King Road house. They wanted to demolish it. And the family was fighting. And it sounded like it didn't matter, that they were just going to go ahead and move forward with the demolishing of the King Road property, because they just wanted the community to start healing. And so we wrote very passionate letters to the university and law enforcement, talking about it's not about the community. It's about four very specific people. And that is the biggest piece of evidence they have. And once it's gone forever. And so I wanted to make sure that we did something, that we didn't just stand on our hands. And a lot of people picked that letter up and wrote. We sent that by email, by mail, any possible way we could get that to them. We wanted to flood that stuff into their university so much so, and into that police department so much so. It wasn't to cause them heartache. It was to let them know how serious we were about keeping that house up until the conclusion of this case, because that has the most evidence. That's everything. That's where the victims died. You're not required to demolish it. Why not wait until we know we have a slam dunk case and Bryan Kohberger is away and never able to hurt anybody else again before you destroy the biggest piece of evidence you've got? Well, it was just a couple days later, after many thousands, I guarantee thousands of letters that came in, not just from our show, but from other people's show and from other people across this country and across this world that said, this is wrong. This is wrong. We understand it upsets your students, but it ain't about your students. It ain't about your community. Hell, it ain't even about your university. It's about 4 people and 4 people only. And those 4 people are Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogan, Xander Knodel, and Ethan Chapin. Those are the only 4 that matter in this case. Period. Aw, thank you, Jen. Thank you. So it was like a couple days later, if I recall, but they did an about-face turn on destroying that house. And today we are finding out that, thank God, think about it. If we would have just did nothing, if nobody would have said a thing, right? That house would have been destroyed. And now we have the FBI over there scanning, doing additional testing. They are going to make this case stick, and they are going to do it proudly. And I am very, very proud of each and every one of you, the other content creators, the other people that chose to put action behind this case. And it was 1 sheet of paper, 1 envelope, 1 stamp. And we made a difference. And thank God. So thank you all. Thank you all and everybody that participated in doing something to help this family and these victims. The only 4 that matter in the Idaho Four case. The only 4 that matter. Nobody else matters. They matter. And seeking justice for them is all I really care about at this point. I want to see whoever hurt them behind bars, and I never want to see them see the light of day again, because people like that scare the shit out of me. Excuse my language, but they scare me. And to think that we have more of those type of people walking around here, don't know what to say. So now we're going to move on to the real reason why we are all here. We learned about Layla Santinello. We got updated on her case. We got updated on Bryan Kohberger's case. We got updated on Rex Heuermann's case. We didn't get really updated on Alec Murdaugh, but he's on my post. So let me just give you an update on Alec Murdaugh. I think his attorneys are, good attorneys. I'm not really pleased the fact that they are attacking a clerk that did the best that she could in that situation. She has been there. I've also read a lot of stuff like, the judge, like the clerk is a voted position. So even the judge really can't tell the clerk what to do. She's required to follow the law or she loses her job and has, problems to deal with. Oh, thank you. God bless you. Another one. If you guys are getting a Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Jen thanks. Thank you, Jen. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. So I've been talking about this case. It's a crazy case of it just popped up on my desk about, I want to say 2 days ago. A mom and her 2 sons are arrested for the death of their father and husband. Kinda. So back in 2021, we kind of hit on this a little bit yesterday. Back in 2021, July 23rd, David Rainey he rented a place with his wife and his 2 sons just to kind of have a little mini vacation. And what came along with them was Bailey, which is the boy in the middle, his girlfriend. And it's very unclear what because there's only 2 females at this home, mom, Cindy Sue, and girlfriend, what was her name? Her name is Coker something. What was her name? That's not it. What was her name? Hold on, let me find the names. Eleanor Coker. So Eleanor Coker was Bailey's girlfriend. Bailey's this guy right here. So this is Cindy Sue. This is Bailey. And this is Jack. Jack kind of looks more like his dad. Obviously, Bailey and mom kind of, they favor each other, right? So mom and Bailey are in Flagler County. Jack is over in Orlando County. But they were all together at this rental property at the end of July 2021. And again, Jack's girlfriend was in attendance. And her boss, Jeffrey, was also in attendance. The reason why I'm saying her is because it's very unclear, based upon everything I've been reading, what her they're referring to. So is this Jeffrey guy, is this Eleanor's boss or Cindy Sue's boss? Because he's her boss. He's one of the hers bosses. And I find it a little odd that if it is Cindy Sue's boss, I find it a little odd to be going on vacation with your employee. I'm sorry. There was a fight there. Was the fight over Jeffrey? Is there something going on there? I just found it awfully odd. You have the entire family there and a boss, right? You have the entire immediate family there. Mom, dad, 2 sons, one of the sons' girlfriends. That's the family and the boss. It just seems odd. So this case is a real wild one because apparently David walked out of the house. They got into a real bad fight. An argument ensued. According to Cindy Sue, she acknowledged that there was a fight in the house and that David took off walking. He left his glasses, his cell phone, his keys, and his wallet behind and took off. And then boom, nobody heard from him again. The morning of the 24th, Cindy ends up reporting David missing and stated to the law enforcement they got into an argument and he walked out. He left his glasses, wallet, and cell phones. So on the 25th of July, after an extensive and exhaustive effort, they end up finding David in the canal behind this rental home, but he was stabbed multiple times. Stabbed. So he was murdered. They're at a rental property. So if we look at this reasonably, we can say the chances of, now it doesn't mean that it's improbable, but the chances of him being killed by anybody other than somebody that knows him is probably very low. He was in a community that they obviously rent, do the Airbnbs. Nobody else that we can see has been murdered in those canals that rented a home. So it's awfully odd that this family rents a home, a body is dumped, and everybody goes on and lives happily ever after. Cindy Sue sold a house in Bushnell in 2022. Or they sold it right before they went on vacation, one of the two. I got to look at that now that I'm saying 2022. It makes me wonder, was it before or after he disappeared? I can't remember. I got to look at the date. But just May of this year, and I know exactly why she did this. Cindy Sue ended up adding both of her sons to her primary property in May of 2023. This was 2 months before she and the rest of them were sued civilly by David's mother and Bailey and Jack's grandmother and Cindy Sue's mother-in-law. Cindy Sue's mother-in-law decided to sue her grandchildren, the boss, and the girlfriend civilly for tampering with the body, a whole host of tortious type of civil counts that were established. I don't know, statutes of limitations. There were some things raised in this, statutes of limitations and other things, but I looked in tortious, and I think that it's 5 years potentially for statutes of limitations. So I don't know how they're raising that, but either way they are. And they did find him stabbed. So I feel like somebody in the house did that. But naturally, I would think that the wife did it, right? Got in a fight with the husband, but I don't think that's the case in this situation. For whatever reason, I don't think she could have, but I'm kind of playing a devil's advocate here in the way that everybody has shut up about this. So it just seems like somebody else that everybody wants to protect would be more in line with this. Like one of the kids, a mom would protect her sons. A girlfriend would protect her boyfriend or her, soon-to-be brother-in-law. It seems like maybe somebody lost their cool and everybody else is trying to keep that person out of trouble. But for whatever reason, and I don't know why, it's just I know that it is a theory of mine. It has no, I just feel like there's something more here because I don't feel like everybody would have been out to save Cindy Sue. You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they would be like, yeah, my mom did it, just to get out of it. Or, the girlfriend, Eleanor Coker, saying, this family's crazy. I'm done. I was there and mom did it. She left the house shortly after that. Next thing we know, he's dead. Oh, thank you, The Real Me Too. Thank you. God bless. Thank you. Oh, you guys are making my day. So I'm just kind of bouncing around all these theories, and I'm looking into this case so intensely because, again, this is happening in the backyard. We really didn't cover it at the time because we had Summer Wells and Michael Vaughn going on at the time that this whole situation was breaking apart. And now we've got these families that have been thinking, oh, we got through it. We don't have to worry about it anymore. All we have to worry about now is just making it through the civil suit. Well, check this out. The civil suit was like July 23rd or something like that, where the grandmother ended up filing suit against everybody in the house. And then another, like 2 more months later, law enforcement, like 2 or 3 months later, law enforcement starts putting shackles on them. And I kind of feel like this was strategic. I feel like they weren't providing evidence, and that through this process of this case, I think that the mother-in-law, the grandma, was able to find some information in discovery that law enforcement could now use to arrest them. And I believe that they're going to start doing this. And not only that, but Eleanor and Jeffrey, they maybe need to be looked at as well, because if Jeffrey's having an affair with Cindy Sue, and I don't know that to be true. I have not seen anything that says that there was any kind of affair or anything like that. I just wholly find it a little, not that anything's wrong with it. Some people have great relationships with their boss, best friend type relationships with their boss, and they do go on vacation. I'm to each their own. I'm not saying that I'm just saying a man died, and I find it suspect that somebody's boss is so involved in their life that they're going on a family vacation. That's all. It's just an observation, right? I'm just saying it feels a little funky. Things just don't feel right when you hear all this. And so I'm noticing that. And and I don't want to allege who I think it is. I want to build on this. But we always have to make sure that we keep certain factors about what is important when we are looking into these cases. And the first thing is establishing a timeline. Who was where and at what time, and making sure there's no gaps in time. A good timeline is something that can be used from the beginning of the case to the very end of the case. The portions that we as the public are not a part of when these cases come about are the actual investigation and evidence collecting of these cases. We are only going to ever be able to identify or speculate on what's being collected by having a body out there. It doesn't even need to be our body, right? Just having a body out there that's recording what they're doing on the internet so we can see with our own eyes what they're removing from the home. But that's really all that we as the public get from law enforcement, unless they need something or they don't mind providing us a little bit of the types of evidence that they were able to collect. But after the timeline, the most important thing, obviously, is that crime scene and following that evidence wherever it leads. You know, sometimes it leads to uncomfortable places. And you're also looking for possible links in the area and in the neighboring county, just to make sure that it's, you know, this is not some unknown person, right? Our statistics typically tell us that it is more common for somebody you know and love to injure you and cause you bodily harm than it is for a stranger danger to do so. However, there are still cases where stranger dangers do that. You don't want to eliminate that. You need to allow it to eliminate itself by looking at possible links with other cases and in neighboring counties. Every detail of these cases matters. So when you guys are reviewing these cases, I'm one person. Collectively, we can do amazing things. Singularly, we are limited to our strengths, right? We are limited to our strengths. But every detail matters, and we need to get those details in some place locally for everybody to review as quickly as possible, because that does matter. We are also, when we're out there, we're looking for behavioral patterns, right? We're looking at victimology. We're looking at the suspect. We're looking at basic patterns, basic behavioral patterns, schedules, stuff that are unique to that person that they do regularly. People that are associated with them, you got to look at those, because again, even though there is stranger danger and we're looking at that aspect, we also have to look at the aspect of everybody else in and around their life. They are the person, even if their body's not here and we can't find them, right? That person is really ground zero. So when you are lacking a body, that person is still ground zero. You're just looking at everybody that came into contact with that person first. And then you move and move and move and move and move and move and move. You move out. You start and you work out. And one thing that we do best is we use social media to generate leads. By talking about this stuff and going through this stuff, you guys are saying, hey, you know what? I remember reading this. And oh, I remember reading that. And did you realize that Bailey was dating 2 girls at the time? You know, those are where we start leveraging what we have here on YouTube and other social media platforms to get people either calling law enforcement with their leads, putting anonymous leads in our chats and comments, or other ideas to get those leads over to law enforcement. We really do try to get what we can to law enforcement and in law enforcement's hands as much as possible. Oh, here's another thing that we do often, and people don't understand why some of the stuff we do is because unbalancing the subject might be desirable. Okay. Unbalancing the subject is sometimes desirable because it makes them do things, it makes them work, it makes them make phone calls, it makes them make mistakes. It makes them make mistakes. And I know law enough to know that law enforcement's not allowed to do that. Right? And they can in some respects. They can do stings and put undercover agents in your life, and there's a lot of stuff that they can do. But sometimes just a jolt, like we see it a lot with Don Wells. Like we were able to uncover a lot of information that we knew to be true through Don Wells by somebody kind of unbalancing him, calling him out, challenging him. And sometimes that unbalancing the subject might be desirable because, again, it makes them make mistakes. It makes them say things. It gets them riled up where they're now on their own conscience, their brain, instead of their thoughts. So the stuff, sometimes just gets spit out. Like where we knew Don was home. I've been telling you guys, Don Wells most likely was home for 2 years. Everybody under the sun called me a liar. I love how the tables turn, but you know what? Everybody's going to lie about it now, right? We never said that, Betty. We knew he wasn't home. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because I can honestly tell you, I had a fight with so many creators saying, listen, I was able to confirm that man went to work that morning. Between 1:30 and 2 o'clock, he left his job site. He told people he was going to lunch, or they assumed he was going to lunch. Not one person could tell me whether he ever came back to work. I can tell you it does not make sense. I've driven the path from his job back to his home. There is no way in hell he would have been able to drive there in 25 minutes. And there is no way he would have been able to get his vehicle to the speeds he said he got them going around those corners of that mountain. He would have flown off that mountain. There's no way to control gravity. All right? He's not a Superman. You go to a certain speed around a corner, guess what? You're going to fishtail. Period. Period. You're not getting away with it. But I had always believed that man was home. I believed he's the one that took Summer away. We saw Candace. Candace tried to tell us she left the thing like the bat out of hell, got in her truck and left. Then we find out that she's on camera twice leaving the area. Explain to me how you leave twice from the area where your daughter was last seen. Why are you not in the area where your daughter was last seen? They either knew something or they were disposing of evidence. That is it. They either knew who was there and she was going to get her daughter, or they were in the process of destroying evidence, and that's why they were all over the place that day after she disappeared. But this idea, this illusion that somebody scaled a freaking mountain to go steal a 5-year-old girl when there was a little girl down the road, right, that was on ground that they could have just walked up and snatched, doesn't make sense. And yes, I'm being facetious, but that's basically it. There are ground level houses that have children, young children playing out in the yard. Why would somebody scale a mountain, the property on the tallest mountain in that area? Why would somebody scale that mountain to get to a girl? When they can go a half a block and to a right and find a little girl playing out in her front yard without having to do all that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So it's just, we have to get them knocked off their solid footing. That's where they start making mistakes. And that's kind of what we do when we just show up and start asking them questions and setting up in front of their house. We're unbalancing that subject. And that's what it's designed to do. We report, right? We report, we commentate, but we're there for a purpose. And that usually is to unbalance that subject. We also want to question everybody in the vicinity and find out if anybody hasn't been questioned by law enforcement. There are just some people, especially like out there in Hawkins County, that they don't want to talk to law enforcement. Do you know how many people came up to us and talked to us and said they will not talk to law enforcement? They'll tell us what they need to know. If we send it on, we send it on, but they don't want to talk to law enforcement. So we record them. I'm sure law enforcement will be knocking on your door anyways. I do turn it over like you requested. So we're at an hour and a half. I'm still working on this whole Swanee case with David Rainey. This is what I've learned so far. I've learned all these weird things, including their... Oh, and this is another thing. Listen to this, guys. So Bailey, okay, now look, I'm putting this back up here. This guy, he looks... Tell me if I'm lying. I'm seriously looking for your honest opinion. Bailey almost reminds me of a spoiled kid, right? He almost reminds me of, just on the look. Now, I don't know this guy. Like, I'm literally judging a book by its cover here, guys. I'm not saying this is true by any stretch of the imagination, but he gives me the Paul Murdaugh type of vibe just by looking at him. The Paul Murdaugh, I'm entitled type of vibe. Maybe it's because he's a good looking boy. His brother seems like he wasn't blessed with all the good looks that, Bailey was obviously blessed with. But I just feel like there's more here. I feel like there was more problems going on inside this home than we know about. And for whatever reason, it's weird because Bailey's a good-looking guy. His brother, is okay. I mean, he's not an ugly guy or anything like that. Young, yes, but not ugly by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure he'll grow into be a nice, good-looking man. My point is none of these people are on social media in 2023. Bailey, 21 years old. This man right here, 21 years old. This guy here, only 19. Only 19. No social media attached to them. At least on their reports. I'm sure they have some. But I seem to think that that's so suspect. Like, even I did find one of Cindy Sue's old MySpace accounts. I was able to find her old MySpace account. I think it was from 2013, 2014, something like that. But being this young in Florida, this day and age, and not be on social media religiously, that just seems really odd. It almost implies and almost seems like, now this is, again, a huge leap on my part. This is just a theory. This is not factual and has not been substantiated in any shape, way, or form. But I just feel like they cleansed their accounts. Everybody here stopped getting pulled over by law enforcement, even as far as citations, except one person. And one person received 2 tickets in 2022. But as far as everybody else, they went from having tickets, just drive, just do it. You know how people are, lead foot driving. They got speeding here. Not coming to a complete stop for the stop sign type of infractions. So they had a lot of those infractions pre-David's homicide. And then it's like after the homicide, it's like nobody even had any contact with law enforcement. They got no more speeding tickets. They got none, with the exception of Jack. I think Jack received 2 in 2022. With that exception, they've been squeaky clean, which in our world, that's behavioral changes. In our world, that's a red flag. So all these things that seem to be, well, they're not getting in trouble. They must be doing okay. It must not be what we think. No, these things to me are showing that there's more to this story. Because what 19 and 21-year-old is not all over TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest? I don't know. I really don't. But just something stinks to high heaven with this case. I really like this case. I think this is going to be one of those very interesting cases. That's why I'm bringing it up. This is going to be a case that I have a funny feeling we're going to be covering more in depth. And I'm going to be bringing up to you because when do you hear of a whole entire family going after a dad? It sounded like he worked really hard. I mean, the lady was married to him for 21 years. I mean, it's hard just to go from 21 years of seeing somebody every day, whether you're fighting with them or not, to never speaking to them again. I mean, that is a shock to the system. I can personally tell you that. It is a shock to the system. So I don't know how this all worked out. I'm just saying that there are some weird phenomenons in their background, in their behaviors that are questionable here. And one of the biggest problems I have is the social media. So what I need from you guys, this is where I could use your help, because we are going to be diving into this case. We are going to be getting into this case a little bit more. When I was doing my research, there wasn't a whole lot, like, you know, like when we have things, we always are so, I don't know, I guess spoiled, where we are always looking for the WFLA chopper. You know, when there's anything going on in a community, it's like we just expect WFLA to be right there with their chopper, with aerial views and footage and stuff like that. This case didn't get any of that. I'm having a hard time trying to find imagery of the actual case as it was happening back in 2021, you know, where they show the searches of the divers in the water, you know, with their snorkel gear. You know, what we're accustomed to when we hear these type of cases, we expect certain things. Well, I'm not seeing any of that. So if you guys can find some footage for me of the day he was found, because I'm trying to find his actual location of where he was specifically in the water when they found him. I'd like to know if anybody knows the actual house that they were at, that they rented. That's really the two information. Everything else I pretty much have. I've got where they're at, where their works, you know, their schools and everything like that, just from doing the background. But those are the two key pieces of information that I really, really do need assistance with. The other part that I need assistance with is, if you guys remember this, if you lived in the panhandle of Florida at the time, if you guys have any inside information that you can share with me or be willing to share with me, or if you know any of the victims or the families or the suspects, or if you knew them personally, I'd like to speak to you either on the record or off the record. Some people don't mind being on the record, and some people like to share things anonymously with me just to make sure I have that information. I'm open to both. I'm open to both. If you don't want to be on the record and you don't want attention, but you do have information that you want to share, please reach out to me, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. It's easy to make a Proton mail. It's easy to make a Gmail that's unrelated to you to get the information over to me if you need to. I promise you, unless you want me to know who you are, I don't have any reason to, let other people know who you are. Is what I'm saying. I just want some information coming to me so I get a good understanding of this. And do you think it was the mom or one of the boys? Or do you think it was maybe the jilted lover, right? Could Jeffrey be the jilted lover, the third wheel in the Cindy Sue and David saga? You know, there's enough here that makes you go, you know, just Can you reshare the name of the person in this case? Oh, sure. So it's David Rainey. David Rainey. This is Cindy Sue, his wife, right here. You guys won't be able to do that. Okay, so that way. No, that way. Okay, so it's the first lady here is Cindy Sue. Cindy Sue Rainey. The boy next to her that looks like her, that's her oldest son. He's 21 years old, and his name is Bailey. The boy next to him that looks more like Dave, the father, that is Jack. Jack is 19 years old. So we have Cindy Sue, Bailey, and Jack. My problem is the Bailey and Jack. Like Cindy Sue, she didn't have social. I mean, even this day and age, for somebody in their 50s not to have some social media is a little odd for me. But the 21 and 19-year-old, that's just creepy to me. It's like you want to go up and pinch them and say, are you like real? Like, I don't know anybody that, because at the end of the day, social media is the new public square. It's where you get your news. It's where you get your information. It's where you joke around. It's where you play games. It's where you consume a lot of your day, your minutes and hours of your life. You consume online now. Back in the day when we were younger, we were pushed outside to go play with our friends. Now we're pushed inside to play with our friends, right? So it's just technology has taken us to a different point. But I just don't see a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old this day and age in Florida having no social media. I mean, hell, Paul lived out in the middle of the boonies in low country South Carolina and was still always on his phone. I understand that there are some places that they just have different lifestyles than we do in a hustling, bustling area. But this area, I can't imagine nobody having phones or social media or something. So the other thing I could use you guys helping me with is locating the social media of these folks. I know that they have them. They may not have their name on them, or they may be spelling their name a little differently, but I know those two boys got social media. I just feel it. I feel it. I feel it. They have social media. They've got names. Different names on their social media potentially. So if you guys can send me their social media accounts, I want to go through those with a fine-tooth comb. So that's what I could use your help with. If anybody has that information with this case, I'm going to continue going down this road because this case, I feel bad for Dave Rainey. I don't know if he was a good dad or a bad dad. I just have to say that, he obviously was married to a woman. He obviously loved his family. He was with her for 21 years. They had 2 children together, and he lost his life. I feel bad for David. And then to turn around and to even consider that his wife and his children had something to do with it. Oh, is there a commercial? It shouldn't be. I thought I took my commercials off here. There should not be commercials. I've only got them set. They should only be commercials on my account when it goes to replay. I didn't set it up for commercials while we're live. Yeah, it is always about thinking. That's what we always like to keep our juices flowing. But I'd like to find out because something's just I haven't put my finger on it yet. Like I keep looking at this and I keep reading information, but in the lack of information, we need to find some people that may have a little more information than what is being disclosed through media in their area because I feel like there's more here. There's something more here and I can't figure it out. And I'm just looking at them. And for whatever reason, I just feel like Mama Bear kicked in on this one. And I kind of feel like, and here's why, because she was upfront and honest with law enforcement. She was upfront with law enforcement that morning when she called them and said, look, we got into a really bad argument and he took off on foot and never came back. So it keeps making me wonder if she realized maybe something happened after the fact and realized that she needed to keep her mouth shut and protect her kids. It is that possibility. There is, and guys, literally, for whatever reason, I feel like Eleanor Coker, and I haven't met her, I haven't even seen a picture of her, but I feel like Eleanor, which attended this vacation with them in 2021 and was Bailey's girlfriend at the time, I feel like she's probably the least involved in all of this, is Eleanor. For whatever reason, I really do. I feel like that there's something with that Jeffrey. Could that Jeffrey have snuck out of the house after they were sleeping and nobody even knows what he did? There's just a lot of questions here that I think, law enforcement is on the right track. Obviously, they tampered with some type of evidence, at least that they can prove that they tampered with. We don't even know to the magnitude of what they're referring to related to the tampering of evidence. We can assume, but we haven't even specifically seen it. So I'll be pulling up all those records. I'm interested in looking at this affidavit of probable cause for them. And once we do, we'll get a little more clarification on what happened in this case. But this is a significant case, and I think it's one that we all should look at. We should all be reading on, and we should all be getting some facts about, because this is going to blow up into something big. I feel it. Whenever you've got a mom and 2 sons murdering, and that's basically what they're going to be working to allege. Yeah, exactly. Eleanor, I do believe Eleanor will be the weakest link. I do believe she will be without even knowing it. I just, it's just one of these things that I just get these gut feelings, and I'm telling you, it's after time, it becomes a little easier, but you've got to find the weakest link and exploit it as law enforcement, of course. But that's what you have to do. You got to find the weakest link and exploit it. They've been prepared. These three have been prepared for some time for this moment, but they have never gotten more prepared than they did starting May of this year. And the reason why I believe that this all started, they started making some financial moves and started protecting their investments and their money. I started seeing all these activities starting to start hitting around May. And I keep saying, well, what was going on in May that would trigger this, the mom adding the two boys to the title of the home and all this other stuff going on? What would trigger that? And it's because whenever you go to file a lawsuit against somebody, you typically give them a good faith opportunity to resolve it before you take it to the court level. You always give them that opportunity to cure the issue before you have to go to judicial resources. It's just a good faith attempt. And there's two parts to it. Is one, you're showing the courts that you really did make an attempt, that the courts really are your last case scenario. Nothing else has worked, and you can prove that. But more importantly, it also says that, hey, look, I really don't want to take you to court. I just want this to stop. I want this answered. I need this stuff. This is much different because this lady, the grandmother, is fighting them for tortillas, a lot of different stuff related to the cremation of the body. Not her being a next of kin, not being allowed to make this decision or that decision, which is going to be an uphill battle in court, because at the end of the day, he was married for 21 years. And at the end of the day, his wife gets to make those decisions for him. And it's sad that, moms have to take the back seat when you're married, but your biological moms have to take a back seat when you're married, because they no longer get to make those decisions for you. You pray to God and hope that the person that you're dating respects your parents enough to include them in those decisions. And you pray to God that they do. But in a situation like this lady wanted her husband gone. And I don't understand that. And so the only way I can understand that is saying they have a lot more into this than they want to admit. But the good news is it takes about 2 years or so to build a case like this, right? And this is in the state of Florida. And Dixie County is not the richest county that we have in the state of Florida. I can promise you that. And they're able to do a good, thorough investigation and extensive research and get 3 people arrested for this crime. So what's that saying about Hawkins County and Tennessee as it relates to Summer Wells? It's saying that, there's more that can be done. And I really, truly believe if you guys really want to help Summer Wells, you need to start talking about your creators. They're wanting to do protests. They reached out to me for protests. Now, mind you, I have been beat up from every way under the sun about protesting. I don't really care, how people feel about it. I'm going to do as I damn well please. If that means going out with a bullhorn and standing on the side of the road with a sign and protesting, that's what I'm going to do. Because nobody's going to tell me what I can and cannot do unless I'm breaking the law. And then if I'm breaking the law, then I have to deal with the consequences of that. So at the end of the day, I really believe, I'm all about impactful action. I'm not out there to spin my wheels. I'm not out there for clicking a view. I'm not out there to waste my money just to waste my money. I'm out there to make the biggest impact that I can possibly make for the betterment of any case that I touch, period. The protesting, if it was going to work, it would have worked. It's not going to work. Having 200 people marching up and down Hawkins County's road, having a protest in their parking lot, which we did that too. It wasn't considered a protest. It was considered a vigil, right? Summer's vigil for her 1-year milestone of being missing. But in all reality, let's face it, it is a civil protest, right? We wanted to make sure law enforcement knew her. We even took the darn cake in there so they couldn't forget her, along with thank you cards. It does work, but I'm saying if it was going to work, it would have already worked. These things are not working. Why? They don't have the money to investigate this case any further. The leads have dried up. I don't know where the forensics are. I literally know nothing. All I'm saying is Hawkins County is not the investigative body for this case related to Summer Wells. Tennessee needs to take over this case. In order for Tennessee to take over this case, you are talking about some really, really long, hard legwork of fighting with the state of Tennessee to take this darn case over and get it solved. Everybody has no problem talking about Summer Wells on the YouTube platform. I see it all the time. And I'm not going to knock the people because a lot of the people that are talking about her case are my friends. But so far, it ain't done shit. Talking about her ain't doing nothing for her, people. All it's doing is it's making your clicks and views go up and it's putting some money in your pocket. But when I started out on this case with Summer Wells, I didn't do it for the money. I did it for Summer. And nobody else seems to be doing it because you know what? The bottom line is we all agree Hawkins County ain't doing their job. We all agree TBI needs to be taking over this investigation and not become just a resource, but actually be the investigative and arresting body in this case. But nobody's willing to do the work to do that. Nobody. And I'm not going to do it by myself because I can't. So when you guys are ready to actually do something of impact for Summer Wells, I will say it again. I said it last month. I will say it this month. To all the creators and anybody else, including my haters, that are just tired of being tired of hearing of Summer Wells and want her case solved. When you're ready to actually quit talking about her case and ready to put action behind it so we can actually do something, everybody knows how to get a hold of me. And I can tell you since the last time I put this option out, my phone hasn't rang once, and neither has my email. But you know what? I bet you put Summer Wells in the name on YouTube. I bet you have 10 or 15 creators talking about her as we speak right now. But they like the drama. They want Don Wells on their channel. They want to call him a liar. They want to catch him in this. We have 2 years of catching Don Wells. There's no more catching Don Wells. You either want the case solved or you don't. But you know, I digress. But I do want my audience to know, you guys know damn well I ask people. I put my stuff out there and said, if you really want to make a difference in Summer Wells' case, reach out to me. Remember me telling them? Not one creator on this platform, not one, has reached out to me. That's 100 right there. I've worked on how we can do this. I worked on how it can be accomplished. I'm happy to do a brainstorming with any other creator that wants to work on this. Not one. So remember, every time you hear Summer Wells' name and everybody talking about her case, remember they had an opportunity to actually do action, and each and every one of those people have chose not to. Chose not to. All right, guys, we're at the end of our show. Thank you for being here this hump day as we slide into our wonderful week. And we're going to be discussing this case a little bit more. I'm going to be looking into new cases as well. And we're going to keep you guys updated on the cases from the past. So we'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe to each other, and especially in the comment box below. God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.